people. Do not disturb is on, and we are ready to rock. The talk tonight is called How to Think Like a High Performance Leader. You are not pulled to a higher level of performance and thinking. Think about that. There's nobody above you saying, come on up. Very few people are going to do that to you. Now, I'm doing it to you, but the world, by its very nature, is not going to do that to you. You're not pulled to a higher level. That's a fantasy. That's a fantasy that you're going to be found. When I was doing commercial acting, 99% of the people I worked with were delusional, thinking they were going to be found. Very few people get found. Very few people get found. Most people have to work for what they have. Very few people get lucky breaks. Okay? You're not going to be found. You're not going to get pulled to the top. As a matter of fact, there's going to be forces against you at the bottom. The crabs in the bucket. You know, a crab trying to climb out of the bucket and the other crabs are clawing at it, pulling it back down. That's what happens. High performance people, you've heard me say this, look different. They look different. If you spent one weekend with me, as I've had many people, proteges and apprentices shadow me, if you spent one weekend with me, just going everywhere I go, doing what I do, at the end of the weekend, you look on your phone and see how many steps you've taken. I'm moving all over the place. You probably would put on 10 miles, literally, in a weekend with what I do. Okay? So, follow people that are worthy of following. That's number one. That's absolutely number one. Okay? You're not pulled to a higher level. You're to a higher level of making money. No one's going to say, hey, you know, I laid awake all last night worrying about you if you could pay your bills. That's a fantasy. No one's going to tell you that. Nobody loses sleep because you can't pay your bills. Nobody loses sleep because your car is breaking down, because you just got a car repair that's going to, break the bank. Nobody cares that you're only making $25,000 a year. No one cares. No one's going to say, hey, I know a way that you can make $75,000 a year. How many calls did you get today where someone said, I want to help you make more money? Zero. It's a fantasy. Get rid of the delusions. You're not going to be found. No one's going to pull you up. You are lifted by those who are working beside you and below you. This is super important now. This is super important. Every dollar you make because of people. So if you're not good with people, you're not going to make money. So what do? Either become good with people or take acting lessons and act like you're good with people. I tell people to take acting lessons all the time, because eventually that works. What you act ends up working its way in. You've heard me say this on many daybreak shows. Stomach in, chest out, shoulders back, head held high, walk 25% faster than everybody else. Walk with a purpose. Walk like you have somewhere to go. Everywhere in life. Period. Every dollar you make because of people. If you're not good with people, you're not going to make money. Period. What is the cure for that? Become good with people or take acting lessons. And act like you are good with people. There's 4 leadership principles of high performance people. This is male, female, young, or old, doesn't matter. 4 leadership principles. Number 1, trade minds with people who you want to influence. Think about it. Who do you want to influence? Who do you want to sell to? Who do you want to buy your products or your service? Get inside their head. That's going to be super important. So leadership principle number 1, trade minds with people who you want to influence. Number 2, think, what is the human way of handling this? I'm going to go over each one of these 4 principles in a little more depth. What is the human way of handling this? Number 3, think only progress. Moving forward, moving the ball down the field. Think positive cash flow. Think make more money today than I made yesterday. Make more money this week than I made last week. Think only progress. Number 4, take time to plan and confer with yourself. Now think about this. Most people think a conference is, okay, you're going to have a conference, you and a bunch of people. But I'm telling you to have a conference with yourself. Confer with yourself. So for instance, when you are reading in the morning, you read your devotional material, you're having your cup of coffee, it's quiet because you get up early before the rest of the house does, before the rest of the world gets up, you don't hear any traffic, the birds aren't even singing yet, okay? You're not just reciting your goals in life. You're doing stuff like this. You're saying this, today I will finish that ebook. Today, I will finish making my course. Today, I will make 1 extra sales call. Today, I will. Your goals that when you confer with yourself, your goals in the morning should be spoken out loud, literally spoken out loud. If there's other people in the house, they're going to say, well, you keep it down. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. All your goals for the day, for all you ADD people who have attention deficit, you need to say this out loud. Today, I will, and then fill in the blank. Speak your goals out loud, even if it's one thing. One thing. One thing. Today, I will. Remember that. Today, I will. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up and you're looking at what you need to do for the day, and you're looking at that list, like I look at my list every day, you're going to say, today I will figure out how to use this app, this program. I will figure out how to get a better deal on a radiator for my car. I will figure out a way to make $10 more today. You need to say that. Today I will. Super important. Now, let's go back to the 4 principles. Trade minds with people who you want to influence. You've heard me say this. When you write, for those of you that are writing, for those of you that are emailing people, for those of you that communicate, put yourself in the... A lot of people try to impress people that they're talking to. You listen to some like Manosphere channels, and they use language that like nobody in the world fucking uses anywhere. And it's just like a comedy show. That's why I had to walk away from that bullshit, that mockery. I had to walk away from it. Put yourself in the minds of people who you are going to be dealing with. Think like they think. feel what they feel. Remember what I said about writing? If you don't enjoy writing, no one's going to enjoy reading what you write. Remember that? When I talked about writing science fiction, when I write my ghost stories, for those of you that purchased my ghost stories book that I sent out. If I don't time travel when I'm writing, you're not going to time travel when you read it. So I have to go to the very same place that I want you to go to when I write. Second principle in writing is this. Well, first is if you don't enjoy what you're writing, no one's going to enjoy what you're reading. Number two is write like you speak. Write like you speak. If I literally took a transcription of this tonight, of this course right now that I'm teaching you, and edited out all the filler words and just put in the meat, I could create an ebook just with what I'm teaching you tonight. Just with what I'm teaching you, and highlight and put in bold or italics or underline the principles that I want to sink into your head. So write like you speak. Don't seek to use bigger words. For instance, I talked about Rich Cooper's book, The Unplugged Alpha. 200 pages. I know people that write books that are 500 pages, 400 pages. This is efficiency of effort right here. This is the fastest 200 pages you'll ever read. Why? Because there's no filler bullshit in here. It gets to the point. It's called efficiency of writing. In the same way, I encourage you to have efficiency of speaking, making your words count. So, write like you speak. And when people read your writing, they're going to be hearing your voice in the tempo. When you read my work, you hear my voice. You hear my tempo. You hear my modulation. Leadership principle number 2. What is the human way? Remember I said, think, what is the human way to handle this? How do you handle things? Praise in public, reprimand in private. If you are a supervisor, if you are over people, if you work a job, never ever reprimand or overteach somebody in public. Pull them aside, do it in private. It needs to be 100% between you and the person. They are not your subordinate, you are their mentor. Think about this. If you are a supervisor or a boss at work, think of your people as mentees, not subordinates. All of a sudden, that gives them a little bit more dignity because they are going to be stewards of your teaching and of your example. Practice praising people. Practice praising people. Those of you who've been around me in public, you know I always approach you with this. I like that tie. Hey, where'd you get that jacket? Nice beard, man. Hey, I love those glasses. Cool shirt. Okay? Praise people constantly. Make it a practice. Rub people the right way. YouTube and social media has taught people to be savage. Tell it like it is. Bullshit. That is the worst way to be. You don't want to be around those people. You want to take a shower after you are around those people. You want to get away from them. Get away from them. You know how you're fasting? How we do fasts? How about you fast from negative people? How about you fast from assholes? How about you fast from people who tell it like it is? Enough of that already. Enough of that. Rub people the right way. If you are gaining an audience, gaining a higher stature because of putting people down, and enjoy it while you can, because it's not going to last long. There's no foundation there. Rub people the right way. I had a roommate. I don't know if I was in grad school at the time or just out of grad school. Let me think. No, I was in grad school at the time. I was in grad school, and there was 5 guys, and we rented a house. And there was one guy that I could relate to. He and I would talk like this. Can you imagine, let's see, I graduated from Westchester University in 1986 with my master's in education with a concentration in counseling psych. Okay, so by the time I was 26 years old, I was getting ready to take my first job teaching in a college. Guess where I was going to teach? My undergraduate school. They wanted me to be literally department chairperson of the psych department. But I was going to a religious institution, which is University of Valley Forge. And they wanted me to, part of being on the faculty there was you had to attend the denominational church. And I wasn't doing that. And I couldn't get the job. So I went elsewhere. And I took a job at the time at Montgomery County Community College as a college counselor in Blue Bell, Pennsylvania. And I was working in the college counseling center. After a year there, they said to me, would you like to teach a course here? I said, well, heck yeah. Of course I would. They said, well, here's the catch. You're going to have to develop that course. I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's not a problem. The course that I taught that I created and taught, 3-credit course, was called The Psychology of Career Development. And I taught that for several years at Montgomery County Community College. Loved it. One of my favorite courses that I ever taught because I developed the curriculum. I don't know if it's still being taught there. Things have changed. Now, this was in the mid to late 80s. So I got my first college teaching job about a year after I graduated from graduate school. I was 26 when I got out. I started teaching in college at 27. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. My hair was black. My beard was black. I looked completely different. I dressed the part. I mean, I wore professor kind of clothing. And I was a part-time therapist at the time. So let's get back on that topic here. So I'm living with 5 guys in a house. The house was in Abington, Pennsylvania. 5 of us guys. The rent for the house was $550 a month. Divide that between 5 guys. It was $110 a month for rent. There was 5 bedrooms in the house. I had my own bedroom. We all shared a bathroom. These were all guys that graduated from University of Valley Forge. And we all, well, no. There was one guy that wasn't a graduate. So 4 of us we all knew each other in the undergraduate school. And I went to Westchester University, and all the other guys were at Westminster Seminary. And I was there with them for a year, and then I transferred out to Westchester University. Because at that point, I just felt like I couldn't be a pastor. I just felt like I didn't have the morality. And you got to realize, I mean, a 27-year-old me, all hormoned up, girlfriends and all that kind of stuff. That was the flesh was stronger than the spirit for several decades in my life. Now I could do it now, but back then, yeah. And all those guys now, One of them is the president of Reformed Episcopal Seminary, and the other three are pastors of churches. Pretty cool. But one of the guys was named Craig, and it wasn't my buddy Craig, the guy that just recently died. It was another Craig, who is a college professor right now up in New York. He came back, and the other guys didn't want to hear his stuff. And you know what he said to me? He goes, I figured out what I want to do. He's from New York, so he had this New York accent. I figured out what I want to do. And I said, what's that, Craig? And he said, and I'll never forget this line. He looked in the distance. He goes, I want to make people great. And he looked at me. And I said, you want to make people great? He goes, yeah. I said, how do you intend to do that? He goes, I want to inspire and teach them. Now, Craig was a couple years older than me. I was 25 years old. Craig might have been 27, 28 years old at that time. To this day, I actually got to have him on the channel. He was one of the most intelligent human beings I've ever known in college, graduate school. Unfreaking believable. He came back one night after a job or whatever he was doing. I want to make people great. That, my friends, is the human way of doing things. That right there. I want to make people great. I will never forget that. Out of all the things, I remember he went to like a yard sale and came back with two like Greek heads, like busts of like statues, you know what I mean? And he put them on his desk. And they were kind of like these, like a generic looking Greek statue. I'll never forget. And I said, so what's this? I was kind of like the skeptic. I go, what's this? And he goes, that's Epictetus. That's Marcus Aurelius. That's the kind of guys I hung out with at 25 years old. Find me 25-year-olds that talk like that today. Find me 25-year-olds, 27-year-olds that say, I want to make people great. To this day, he's greater than great because his habits started when he was a young man. When all the other guys, and you know what? In that house with 5 guys, there was never any alcohol. None of us drank. Not a single one of us drank. I gave up drinking at, I guess it was like 20 years old. I gave up drinking when I was 20. And I did not have another glass of wine, alcohol did not touch my lips probably until I was about 30. So from 20 to 30, I wasn't like sober. I didn't have a drinking problem. I just knew that alcohol for me was not going to be good for high performance. I was still in the learning phase and being mentored by people. No, I was not in a fraternity. All right. Craig said, I want to make people great. That's being human. 4 leadership principles. Number 3 was think only progress. Moving forward. Positive cash flow. Today, I texted somebody who's holding me accountable for positive cash flow. Which means I got to make more money than what I'm spending today, this week, this month, this year. Happiness is positive cash flow. Never forget that. Are you making more money today than you did yesterday? Are you making more money this week than you did last week? I don't care if it's a penny more. Are you making more? And are you striving in such a way where you're going to make more money? For instance, when I added up what my revenue is for today, I crushed it today. I exceeded my goals for what I want to earn on a daily basis. How do I do that? I report to somebody. I let somebody know that I have positive cash flow and they hold me accountable. I belong to two groups. I belong to two groups that I pay money for, good money for. One group is like a high performance business group, super high performance, just like no bullshit. No, they hold you to the fire, man. You do not get away with anything. And you have to have proof. If you're going to talk to this group, you better have proof that something good happened. Not that you failed, not that you tried. You have to have proof that something happened. The other group I belong to is more of a technical business group that's helping me with my technical stuff. And I exceeded all of my expectations for that this week. That's what I'm doing in my 60s. In my 60s, I'm not slowing down. I'm not slowing down. I can still run circles around half of you that are half my age. Literally, physically run circles around you. So, all that being said, think progress. Think moving the ball down the field. Progress. The biggest compliment that you can receive from somebody is this: man, he knows how to build. Boy, he can build. He stands for progress. Anyone remember, listen to our movie in the 70s called The Killer Elite, I believe? It was with James Caan, I think. James Caan, The Killer Elite. And it was like a martial arts movie. And these guys, the guys they make ninjas look like slackers. These guys were unbelievable. Okay? Think about this. Think about this. Don't be just a fish that just kind of goes with the stream. Okay? They used to say it takes like any jellyfish can go with the stream. It takes a fish with a backbone to swim against the current. The current in this world is that you watch porn, eat soy, simp on women, take a job, do the best you can, work 40 hours a week for 40 years. That's not what you're about. You are about moving forward against the tide. You're walking 25% faster than everybody. Your stomach is in, your chest is out, your shoulders are back, your head is held high. That's what you're doing. It's progress. You're moving forward. You're getting positive cash flow. Ask yourself this question. Oh, the movie is called The Killer Elite. The Killer. And remember, what was the movie? Taken with Liam Neeson. Remember the scene? He's on the phone. What did he say about, I have a certain set of skills? Remember that thing? Like I had, like, you know, if you don't return my child or whoever it was, I don't know. I forget, but I'll never forget the phone call. I possess a certain set of skills. Like, and I will find you and I will kill you. Like that kind of thing. Can you have the Liam Neeson talk with somebody? Do you have a special set of skills? And what are they? And can you itemize them? Can you write them down? That's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. All right. Let's go back to that. Think only progress, moving forward, and positive cash flow. What kind of world ask yourself this question. What kind of world would this be if everyone was like me? Ask yourself that question. What kind of world would this be if everybody was like you? Now replace the word world with family, company, church, club, group of friends. What if everyone was like you? Holy shit. Would things get done? Would people be praised in public and reprimanded in private? Would there be positive cash flow everywhere? Replace the word world with the words company, church, club, group of friends, etc. And the final of the 4 leadership principles, number 4, take time to plan and confer with yourself. Most people think of conferences as a group of men. Can you imagine having a conference with yourself? Just me, myself, and I. You do that every day in the beginning of the day. You've heard me talk about my goal and how I live my life is this. I love silence, solitude, and service. Some people call it monk mode, but in the men's development arena, monk mode has to do mainly with what you do with your penis. When some guys talk about not having sex, they say, well, I've been in monk mode for a couple years. You know, you've said that to a woman, maybe. I didn't date for a while. I was in monk mode. Monk mode, you know, you guys got to get the hell out of that manosphere red pill bullshit. Get the fuck out of it. All right? I'm actually fucking sick and tired of it. Tired of it. Because, you know, it's interesting. I was watching a group tonight on YouTube with 4 people, and there was one guy that's a financial expert, and the other guys were red pill guys. And one red pill guy just couldn't get his fucking mind off that red pill track. And he actually brought the group down when the other guy was bringing it up. And it was laughable. And I might use that video as an example of how one person can take a group of people and bring them right down with their stupidity and their mockery. So get away from the bullshit. Get away from the bullshit. Like Coach EO says, cut the bullshit. EO, if you're watching, props to you. All right. So you heard me talk about silence, solitude, and service. The kind of silence that I'm talking about, or kind of solitude I'm talking about, is not that monk mode. There's a difference between solitude and being antisocial. It's very popular for people to say, oh, I hate people. Or that meme with, you know, the little girl from the Addams Family where she goes, ooh, people, which makes me laugh. I think that's pretty funny. I'm not antisocial. I just, when I want action, I go to where the action is. I don't want to live amongst the action. I can be an extrovert. I can be an introvert. I'm happy sitting here reading Hemingway or being on stage somewhere or being on television. I can do either. All right. Now, silence, solitude, and service. The kind of solitude I'm talking about is called this. And if you're smart, you're going to write this down. Managed solitude. Managed solitude. Absolute key. Do you manage your solitude? It's like social fasting. You've heard me talk about relationship fasting. Having a time where you come together with your girl and you love her and you give her 100% of yourself rather than always looking at your phone all the time or answering, you know, emails or texts or things like that. I got to the point where when I was dating, like doing like online dating, and I would go out with a woman and literally, if she looked at her phone once, the date was over with. Done. Finito. Done. I don't care if it was Well, I'm just checking with my kids. You know what? Go to the bathroom and pull your phone out and check with your kids. When you're with me, focus on me like I'm focusing on you. Check your phone once and you're done. That's it. So, managed solitude. When you are by yourself, you are 100% productive. When you are with your loved one, when you're with your woman, you are giving her 100% your focus. You are present. You are with her. She is with you. And demand nothing less than that from her. Silence, solitude, and service. Write down the phrase managed solitude. All right. We're going to wrap it up with this. When people try to drive you down, remember the teaching, this teaching tonight is called Train Yourself to Think Like a High Performance Leader. This is going to make you more money. This is going to make you more money. Money is magically going to appear in your life when you do these things. When people try to drive you down, you think bigger like a leader does. You win when you refuse to fight petty people and their petty issues. You hear me? You win when you refuse to fight petty people and their petty issues. Especially you guys going through divorce. You know, the person that you are getting divorced from wants to stay petty, don't they? You don't want to be petty. Take the gloves off. Imagine two people in a boxing ring, okay? And one person just undoes their gloves, takes them off, throws the gloves off, goes under the ropes and leaves the ring. And the one person that's left in the ring, they look pretty stupid, don't they? Fighting themselves. Because you refuse to fight petty people. Pretty soon, the crowd in the stadium leaves. And the only person left in the whole damn building is the person who wants to fight. And they got the gloves on. Come on, let's fight. Refuse to fight petty people. You win. You win when you refuse to fight. Number 2, expect to be sniped at. Expect to be made fun of. Expect to be mocked. You know what that's proof of? That's proof that you are growing. That's proof that you are going somewhere when people are attacking you. Remind yourself that snipers are psychologically sick. I'll say that again. Remind yourself that snipers are psychologically sick. Don't be angry at them. Feel sorry for them. Pity them. They need pity, not attention. Pity. And those that give them attention need pity as well. Who do you listen to? Who do you watch? Who do you praise? Who do you give kudos to? Those that are doing sniping or those that are doing something with their lives? You win when you refuse to fight petty people and their petty issues. Think big enough to be immune to the attacks of the petty. I'll say that again. Think big enough to be immune to the attacks of petty people. When you doubt yourself, think big like a leader. Think like a high performance leader. These are the qualities of a high performance leader. When you doubt yourself, think bigger than you want to think. It's going to be hard to do. Look important. Look important. Did you ever meet a so-called celebrity, but you knew it was like when you saw them? Did you ever look at somebody and go, they got to be important? They're, they're somebody. They're they're important. You know why? Because they look important. They dress important. And that doesn't mean wearing a suit. They carry themselves a certain way. Like, for instance, when I travel and I do conferences and I do speaking engagements at schools and colleges and churches and different things like that, I look like the guy who's coming to speak. I look different than the students. I look different than the people that are there to listen to me. So look the part. How you look on the outside is a signal of how you feel on the inside. You hear me? How you look on the outside is a signal. You're telegraphing to people what you feel like on the inside. If you look stupid on the outside, you're telling people, I really feel stupid. If you look foolish on the outside, you're actually telegraphing to people, I feel foolish. I feel foolish and I do foolish things. Know your positive self. Learn to sell you on you. If I was going to sell you, do I have enough bullet points? Do I have enough features and benefits to sell you to someone else? Think about that. When you go to buy a new car, what's the first thing the salesmen always do? They talk about features and benefits. What are your features and benefits? If I was selling you, do you have a list of features and benefits that I can sell you? Do you have those things? Do you possess those things? When conflict seems inevitable, think big, like a high performance leader. Resist the temptation to argue. Now, did you notice what I just said? This is when I teach people to speak. I teach them raise your voice, lower your voice, slow down your voice. That's how you get people's attention. For instance, when I said to you, when conflict seems inevitable, resist the temptation to argue. You see what I did? I was loud, fast, and then I slowed it down, lowered my voice, and that's like putting everything in bold, italics, underlining with an exclamation mark. Resist the temptation to argue. Even if you're married, I've said to you men, when you win an argument with your wife, what did you really win? What did you really win? You don't win anything when you win an argument with your wife or your girlfriend, even if you're right. Am I right? Resist the temptation to argue, even if you are being attacked. Even if you are being attacked. Setbacks are lessons. Setbacks are lessons in your life. Look at your failures. Look at the things that you've done wrong. Write them down. Write down areas where you fucked up. What did you learn from fucking up? Or are you going to keep making those mistakes? If you don't learn from the past, the lessons of the past, you are doomed to repeat them. Write down where you fucked up. Inventory the areas where you fucked up. Commit things to paper. You know why why these pads are yellow? There have been studies that prove that writing with black or blue on a yellow pad actually gets your attention. It literally ingrains itself in your brain. That's what you ever hear the phrase yellow legal pads? Why aren't they white legal pads? Yellow legal pads, they're yellow for a purpose. You can just literally just Google the phrase, why are yellow pads yellow? And you'll see why. There's a science behind yellow pads. This is the original iPad right here. Write down, if you don't commit stuff to paper, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. Write down where you fucked up and what lessons did you learn from it? And what will you do differently in the future? Put the little things where they belong in second place. Put the little things where they belong in second place. Little things do not deserve first place in your life. When you sleep, you go to sleep. When you make love, you make love. When you're cooking, you cook. You stay focused. No multitasking, though. Bill Gates, with all of his damn taskbar, his taskbar at the bottom, Windows somehow convince people that they can do multiple things at once. You can't. You can do one thing well or 5 things shitty. And how you do one thing is how you do everything. Okay? Do something special for somebody every day. Do something special for somebody every day. I don't care if it's as little as opening up a door at the convenience store for somebody. I don't care. Do something special for somebody every day. This is what high performance leaders think like and act like. Tell yourself, I can do better. I can do better. Don't ask yourself, can I do better? Tell yourself, I can do better. I can do better than this. When you say, I can do better, listen. Now I sound like Dr. Charles Stanley. Listen. When you say, I can do better, that automatically switches on your creative power. You start thinking of alternate routes. When you say, I can do better, it automatically switches on your creative power. Put service first. Remember? Silence, solitude, and service. Put service first. Put service first, and money is going to magically appear in your life as soon as a month. As soon as a month. Put service first. First. And money happens. Period. And finally, I'll wrap tonight's teaching up with this phrase. The wise man is a master of his mind. The fool is its slave. Thank you for listening. 2 things. What did you learn? And what questions do you have that relate to the teaching? And I hope you benefited from this tonight.